Hello, I'm Zaichik, founder of ElasticSteel, method of athletic conditioning. Today I'm going to talk about the Zaichik. I made a lot of YouTube videos about the Zaichik. You could look at a lot of them. And I often get a lot of questions about the Zaichik. Before I get into that, I want to make a comment about last week's video. In last week's video, I was talking about the Muay Thai round kick and the pulling upper body, upper back muscles for that kick. I got some interesting comments about that. One master contacted me and said, Paul, you set a bad example when you drop your guard. In other words, throwing that kick, I was demonstrating dropping the guard. Of course, that is style difference because in Muay Thai the guard is always dropped. I usually use front leg kicks and I usually use snap kicks. So for instance, my side kick doesn't drop the guard. My front kick, my roundhouse, I do not drop the guard. My hands stay up here. Doesn't matter what I do. Even if I throw a snap kick with the rear leg, any kick, my hands stay up here. However, in Muay Thai, the hand is dropped. That is just how the kick is performed. Now today I'm going to show you some drills to build up Zaichik. However, I want to say, whenever I talk to MMA guys, I talk to Muay Thai guys, I talk to some kickboxing guys, very often the idea is, some people say Zaichik is useless, and some people are a little bit more open-minded. They don't say Zaichik is useless, they say that it's a very difficult kick to perform. Very often when they go to their instructor, to their coach, to their trainer, and they say, can you teach me a Zaichik? I saw it used very well a few times, I saw a spin back kick used very well. The instructor usually says, the kick does not work, forget about it. I just want to entertain the possibility that maybe an instructor doesn't know how to do that kick, the instructor never learned it, and there's a chance the instructor doesn't want to say, I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to teach it to you. So the first thing to do right away is to trash the kick. The kick doesn't work. Now side kick is a very powerful kick. The problem with the side kick is correct heel trajectory. If your heel goes in line with your body, if it goes in straight line, if there is a point A to point B between you and the target and you can accelerate your heel using the side kick in that line, it's a very, very powerful kick. Now everybody knows what a side kick looks like. The problem for the side kick is to get that trajectory. The hip extends a little bit more than the knee, or the knee extends a little bit more than the hip, you're not going to have correct trajectory. Some people think that is a strength imbalance. The hip extensors are stronger, or the knee extensors are stronger, and that's why that's happening. Sometimes that is true. However, very often there's a lack of awareness. You think your heel is traveling in a straight line, but it's not. To understand that concept, what I would like for you to do, if you will, pick a line on the floor and walk down that line. Look at the line and walk down that line. Now I want you to come back and do it again. Keep your eyes closed. Okay? Walk down that line. You think you're walking down in a straight line, but chances are, without a lot of practice, with your eyes closed, you're going to walk over to the side, although you think you're walking in a straight line. Same thing happened with the side kick. You think you're kicking in a straight line, however, very often you're not. And that's where the power is lost. Biomechanically, side kick has two parts of its trajectory. Prior to impact and during the impact. Often side kick is training a pad like many other kicks. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that you should never go straight to the pad. You should never first work on power. You should work on technique, very often in slow motion. However, let's say you are working on a pad. If you think it through, the first question that's going to come up is, how are you going to strike the pad? Are you going to strike the pad when your leg is almost extended, or are you going to strike the pad when your leg is not extended, so you have the room for that heel to go through the target? Now we all know from basic martial arts that you want to strike somewhere where there's still distance to go through the target. You don't strike here at full extension, you have a little bit of distance to go through the target, and the more acceleration you have, the more you can allow it to come closer to the target. So if I'm going to strike a wall here with a side kick, the options are, I can come here, okay, I can come here, and now that I'm here, I have the room to go, because I'm striking it at about halfway, or I can strike it about here, okay, I can strike it about here, where I have almost extended my leg. Which one do I do? Now for somebody who has a technique and has a straight line, of course you're not going to strike with the leg completely extended. However, for a beginner, how do you know what your trajectory is once you strike a target? Remember, if your foot does not travel in straight line when it's approaching the target, chances are it's not going to go in straight line when it goes through the target. Now even if it does go through the target, how it can happen because of inflexibility and you have that short range of motion. In other words, you can do a straight line here, but once you pull up, either you're having problems with your hip or you're having problems with your knee. So the only straight line you're going to get is with that extension when the leg is almost straight. If that's the case, you can compare to yourself running into something, trying to move it. And instead of going in straight line, you're doing this. Not building up that momentum before you strike. So it doesn't matter, even if you go in straight line to the target, you're not going to generate a lot of power. It's an opposite case. You have a straight line when you approach a target. You know you have a straight line because you have good control when the leg is close to you. Here, for example, I have good control when the leg is close to me. But when that leg comes out further, I might be losing control. Now once I begin to lose control when the leg comes out further, if I begin to extend just the knee or I begin to extend just the hip, what's going to happen? I'm going to lose all that power that I've generated with the momentum of my body and with that initial acceleration of my leg. So in ElasticSteel Kickmaster System Level 3, we work on control next to the body, we work on control away from the body, we work on that trajectory. However, I'm going to show you some exercises that I do not include in SKMS 3, and they involve props. In SKMS 3, we don't use props. You would watch your trajectory towards the target, and once you make contact with the target, you will be able to see if your foot continues the straight line. So here I have the first device, which is just a resistance band. Okay. It is attached on the top or attached on the bottom. It's twisted. The reason that it's twisted and not flat, that allows for the heel to miss it a lot easier. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just slowly perform a kick. I want to touch it with my heel. I don't want to touch it with the edge of my foot. I want to touch it with my heel. And I want to push the resistance band with my foot, just with my heel. Okay. So here I have a side kick, extend, touch, push, back. First part of trajectory, second part of trajectory, back. First part of trajectory, second part of trajectory, back. Okay, same thing on the other side. Okay, now this is a little bit easier, because even if your heel touches and it moves to the side, the way this is, it will usually go with it unless you make a huge mistake. And your kick actually goes at a large angle, something like this, then of course it's not going to go. If it makes a small mistake and goes a little bit, it has a tendency to sort of go with it for the small mistake. Once you can do that well, we'll move on to something that will not allow for that much margin of error. Now this is a more difficult setup. Okay, the stick is here and then there's one resistance band on top, one on the bottom. Now this will not stick to my foot. If I make a mistake, it's going to go to the other side easily. If I go out to one side, it's going to go this way. If I go out to the other side, it's going to go that way. Okay, so this way I have to make sure that my heel travels in straight line. I'm going to get an instant feedback about how my foot is traveling. Okay, so now my heel is up, push straight, come back. Now if I would have missed that, or if my trajectory would have had that little heel kick at the end, what would have happened is this. Okay, and then on my way back I would have just hit my toes. Here's another angle. Okay, that you come into the stick with a heel, straight line. Once that happens, you know you have first part of the movement, the heel, extend. And once again, kick trajectory is ElasticSteel Kickmaster System Level 3. In Kickmaster System, we do not use props like this. It's just something for you to do on the side. We use different exercises because they're designed for a class where there's an instructor and a lot of people in class, and everybody's not going to have access to something like this. We use body marking, different lines on the body to see if you have correct trajectory. I'm Zaichik. Thank you for watching.